And I wanted to start off tonight by telling you a little bit about tonight's podcast. As you can see by the title, it's titled What's Your Why? On my last podcast, I discussed having goals, having written down goals, having goals that you thought about, planning out your life, planning out the next year of your life, the way we do vacations, taking some time to decide what it is actually that you want in your life and what it is that you want to accomplish or achieve or have, or who you want to date, or whatever it is that you want, that you're clear on those, so you stop waking up like it's an accident and you understand exactly what it is you need and what you want in your life. Brother Bob. So tonight's topic, last time again, as I mentioned at the very end that we were going to talk about this topic a few weeks. And that is, tonight we're going to discuss why you want those things in your life. Hi, Diana. Before we get started, because this one is going to go on a rant for a little while, let's give you how to reach out to me so that you can reach out and comment on the topics that I pick, give me suggestions of topics, share my videos, and reach out to me somehow. First of all, on Facebook, of course, it's Bob Norman. My business pages are Buff Monkey Marketing and also Ultimate Streaming Media. On Facebook, on Twitter, it's at Buff_Monkey. On Instagram, it's Buff_Monkey. Email address, Buff_Monkey at Reagan.com. Reagan spelled just like the president. And on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Big Norm 1963. So continue to send topic suggestions, feedback about the Bobcasts, and continue to share these Bobcasts if you will, because like I say every week, they are for people who are trying to make some change in their life, improve something, accomplish something, experience something that they don't have in their life now. So let's get back to the topic because it's going to take a couple of minutes. The topic again is what's your why? And like I said on my last podcast, we talked about goals, about knowing what it is you want in your life, being very clear on the things that you want, whether it's an experience or an achievement or a possession or a person in your life or whatever it is, being clear on that, writing down a plan on how to get those things. And then at the end I talked about having a why. Hi Lois and John. At the end I talked about having a why, and that's where I want to pick up this week and discuss that. There's probably nothing more important than having goals, knowing what you want, having a plan to get them, except for your why. You really need to be clear on why it is you want those things. And if you remember in my last podcast, I gave the example of the people that come to me for fitness or wellness goals or for weight loss goals, and we discuss why they want to accomplish those things, because they have to have a good sound reason or they won't follow through. And it's the same thing with everything else in your life. Whenever you do sit down and plan out that year, write down those goals, the things you want to accomplish, achieve, experience, or have, you then need to take it another step further and figure out why it is you want those things. And I need you to understand that it has to be something that comes from deep down inside. I don't know if you remember my example from the last podcast of myself and how I took about a year and spent that year working on me, improving myself as a man, become a better version of myself, but ultimately trying to become the kind of man that my grandsons would like to be like. And that was a pretty deep down why for me. That I want those guys, I can't let those guys down. I can't have those guys not be proud of me or think of me that way. I want them to think of me the way I think of my grandpap whenever he was around, and I still think of that today. So that was a pretty deep down goal that came from deep in the heart. It looks like it's German Township night in here tonight. Hi Lisa, hi Shirley. But that goal came from deep down inside, and so I took a year to focus on myself, to make myself into the kind of man that I wanted to be. Like I said, well, it's not because I was a bad guy, but I just wanted to be the best version of me I could be. And subsequently, my relationships all improved, and I attracted the woman of my dreams into my life, my Anastasia. And I don't know that I would have attracted her into my life had I not worked on me. Now, that wasn't the goal, but it was a daggone nice side effect of the goal, or a nice little addition. And people like Dr. Bob and all these people that I mention in all my Bobcasts that inspire me and that I admire and care about and love and respect are now in my life because I took that time to plan. But that why was to be the kind of man that my grandsons would like to be like when they get older. And there was a pretty deep why. You see, what I want you to understand is that money or possessions, when we talked last time about goals and about knowing what you want, I want you to understand that you do need to know what your physical goals are. So whether it's a certain car that you want to have, or a house that you want to have, or a place that you want to live, or again, a certain relationship, whatever those, you need to have those goals, and you need to know what they are. So physical goals are important. Monetary goals, like you write down, I want to make an extra $5,000 a year. But this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your why. Okay? Just writing down that you want to make an extra $5,000 a year is not a motivator. Cars, money, houses, clothes, they're not motivators. You may think they are, but they're not motivators. What motivates you about those things, and let's use the money as an example, what motivates you about the money is not the money itself, but it's what the money will allow you to do, to achieve, to accomplish, to experience. Whether it's doing a college fund for your kids or grandkids, whether it's taking a vacation so that you can experience a different culture, or whether it's to donate to charity, to do things like that. So it's not specifically the money that's the goal for you, although that's a means to get that goal, but it's that feeling that you're going to get when you take the family on that vacation to that exotic place, or that historic place. Or like the example I used of when I bought my Corvette a couple years ago, that it's not so much about the car, although I love the car, it's my fantasy car, my dream car, but it's about that feeling that I get right in here when I'm driving that Corvette down the road with the roof off and the sun shining down on me and the wind blowing through my long flowing locks and my music on the radio. That feeling is what motivated me. Okay, the car is just a way to get that feeling, just like traveling to that place. The actual place is not what you're looking for, it's the experience that you're looking for when you get to that place. I'll give you another quick example. I remember I worked with a girl a couple years ago that I was trying to mentor in business, and her goal was to earn $5,000. And I knew that wouldn't be a motivator for her, but when I asked her more questions, why do you want it, what are you looking for, her answer was that her daughter was in high school, was a freshman, and that when they became seniors, they were going to go on a trip to Europe. And she wanted to be able to send her daughter on a trip to Europe. Well, I continued to prod her, and I asked her, so let me ask you, why is it important for you to send your daughter on this trip to Europe? She says it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I said, okay, so if you are able to earn that $5,000 and send your daughter on that trip, how will that make you feel? And she said it would make her feel wonderful, like a great mom, because it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that she could give her daughter. And subsequently, I asked her how would it make her feel if she didn't earn that money to send her daughter on that trip, and she said it would make her feel like a failure. So do you see what I'm getting at? What I did was try to touch deep in the heart of the 5,000 was her goal, but the reason for her getting that $5,000 is what we had to touch on. Okay, it's got to be something that one of my business mentors, Melissa Connolly, refers to as going home goals. And this is what I mean by that. I'm going to give you a quick analogy. Let's say you're at home and you decide you want to go to the mall for something, whether it's to buy something or just go up there for whatever. And it's winter time and it starts to snow heavily, and there's an accident in front of you, and then you have a flat tire on the car. At some point, you're going to decide, you know what, I'm going to go to the mall another day. I'm going home. I'm getting out of here. This is not worth it. But reverse everything and say you're at the mall and you're getting ready to go home and it starts to snow and there's an accident in front of you and you have a flat tire. Is there ever a point when you say to yourself, I'll just go home another day? Or will you do whatever it takes to get home? Will you get that tire fixed? Will you take a detour around the accident? Drive a little slower? Maybe call someone with a four-wheel drive if you're not very good in the snow. You'll do whatever it takes to get to the ultimate goal, which is to go home. So you really need to make sure your goals are going home goals, but the why is what will make them going home goals. Understanding why it is you want those things. Clearly, going to the mall is not a big why. You wanted to buy something, you wanted to go to the movie, whatever it was, is something you can turn your back on if you had to, if the situation or circumstances got bad enough. But going home to your family, to your pets, to your house, there's nothing that's going to make you turn away from that. And so that's what you have to understand about goals and having a why. When your why is something from deep down inside here, okay, like when you do something for your family, for a loved one, when it means so much to them and you want to see the joy in their eyes, that's what you have to get in touch with when you write out your plan and your goals and your plan to achieve those goals. Your next step, and the most important one, is to figure out why you want to achieve those things. And I got to be honest with you, it's got to be something that you need to write down. And when you write it down, when you have that day where you're struggling, maybe you didn't make any sales in a week, or maybe you had a rough week at work, or whatever's going on, you need to be able to pull that why out. You need to be able to read that thing, and you need to be able to reignite that fire and remind yourself deep down inside why you wanted to achieve those things. And you'll go after those things with a fire again, because unless you identify with that, it's easy to turn away from a goal that's not a deep-seated why. Because if you say, I want to earn $5,000, or I need $5,000, and it's not for a purpose, and you earn $1,000, well, that's pretty cool. I earned $1,000. Or you could go to the bank and get a loan for that money. But when you have a deep-seated why of why you want to earn that money, why you want to own that car. I tell people all the time about visualizing things, and we're going to talk about that in the next podcast. But when you really know what kind of car it is you want, what kind of house you want to live in, what kind of relationships you want to have, and then you identify why you want those things in your life, if they are deep-seated, deep down in your heart, if it's a why from deep down in your heart and they're going home goals, the likelihood of you achieving them goes up dramatically. So don't just sit down and write out things that you want to own, places you want to go. I want you to look deeper into your soul and figure out why you want to do those things, why you want to have that experience. It could be that you want your